I like the setup you got. Like such a beautifully painted wall. What is that? Is it orchid? What is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Orchid?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
an orchid. Yeah, that I'm
beautiful.
trying to keep alive. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. So I thought you were so mesmerizing in this movie as Nick Newell. I thought it was interesting that your character's coach described you as saying you have a lot of heart, which was so perfect because I thought you really conveyed that in every ounce of your being and your performance.
Thank you.
So yeah. So for those that don't know, tell them a little about Notorious Nick the movie and a little about Nick Newell.
Yeah, of course. So Nick Newell is a he was born with a congenital amputation. So from his left elbow down, it's missing. Um, so he kind of had to quickly adapt in life and overcome, I guess, the world's perspective of his disability, the limitations that other people were putting on him and forcing him to accept. So it's really just it's a true story. It's his journey from high school all the way up to professionally fighting on within Bellator and other leagues and divisions, and eventually winning a championship and doing what everyone else deemed impossible in his life. So we get to see his journey and his will and determination and to what the coach said, his heart and what he brings to it. So it was a hell of a ride, and to get the opportunity to tell this story is amazing. And then when you even layer in the fact that it's real, you're not making this up. It just kind of adds that extra layer of a wow factor, in my opinion. So yeah, Notorious Nick, it's gonna be great.
It's great. So you're always so great at capturing the physicality, but also like the headspace of the characters you portray, from
Yeah.
Theo in Teen Wolf to Asher in All American, especially that scene where he learns the news from his dad. It's just, oh man, your acting in that scene is incredible.
Thank you.
And then obviously your portrayal of Nick. So tell me about your process for this project and how you prepared.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, it started way back with, just the initial audition because I was like second, third, fourth wave of auditions. They went through so many people trying to find Nick Newell, someone to tell his story. So when I got the audition and I got the opportunity, the prep kind of started there. I read whatever script they gave me at the time. I ended up prepping sides that weren't even a part of the picture, just something that they had written up for the audition. But yeah, first and foremost, it was learning about Nick, who he was, where he was from, his journey, how did he get into fighting. So I kind of got into his head first, his relationships, pretty much any information I could find on the internet. I started there and soaked up his life, and then the next step for me was getting the knowledge and the perspective of what it was like for someone to live with a disability.
Mm.
How did they think about it? How they feel about it? Were they born with it? Did it happen midlife? Just kind of certain things to get that information that I needed to bring truth and authenticity, to the story. Um, so yeah, it was that, and then as we moved forward, I ended up booking the role, and then the prep for the fighting started.
Right.
Because it's such a huge component of the story, and you want to be able to get in the ring in the octagon and look like a fighter. And it's cool because we
Right.
see his journey from high school wrestling of him not being that good to getting into mixed martial arts in the very amateur level, still not being that good. And then we see the focus ramp up and the progression that he makes after he commits to it. So the physical aspect was huge. And for me, I'd done fight training before, but you know, I stand in like a regular, kind of stance, whereas Nick fights southpaw. So kind of just switching up what the lead arm is doing, and incorporating the wrestling element into it, a lot of Muay Thai into it. He's very like kick heavy, kick dominant, knows how to really put the power there. These are things that I had to learn
Right.
very quickly. Thankfully, I had a great crew of people to work with. My stunt double, Corey DeMeyers, who's just absolute phenom when it comes to anything mixed martial arts related. So yeah, we just got busy. It was physically taxing. It training like a fighter. It just doing it firsthand. And having the feeling of training for something bigger than yourself. I just have so much more respect and admiration for people that do this for a living because it's no joke. It's
Right.
real. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you watch tape of Nick? Because it was incredible to see the footage at the end after I'd seen your performance, and watching it side by side was just incredible.
Yeah, so a lot of film study, all the way just to get, how does he stand in the ring? What are the pre-fight rituals? What does he look like nerve-wise? Standing in his
Yeah.
corner. How does he move around? What does the defense look like? With one arm missing.
Yeah.
Celebrations, anything and everything that I
Yes.
could kind of stitch in. I wanted to incorporate as much as possible, especially with that last fight. The way it was scripted, we just wanted to make sure it dialed in the choreography to really match and represent, the fight, the celebration. I think we did a
Yeah.
pretty good job. It is
You
cool to watch
did.
it, right, and then to see the real thing unfold
Right.
after. It's pretty cool.
Right. Especially with the footage of him talking about it, saying, like,
Yep.
you don't think this is real. This is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then to see the footage, it was just amazing. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved your dynamic with Barry Livingston, but also Elizabeth Rom and Cameron James Matthews. So
Yeah.
what was it like working with them and building those different dynamics?
I mean, they're all incredible. I have amazing things to say about everyone, like truthfully. Elizabeth, her and I clicked immediately. Yeah, I think the first thing that we actually filmed was like the big celebration at the end. I think that was the first time that we were on screen together. And
Wow.
immediately, we didn't even like talk and connect prior to filming the scene. We just kind of jumped into it and did it. And, just kind of immediately connected and was able to give a great performance. And then from there, we just kind of took off. With Barry, I mean, he's a legend. He's been doing this forever. So, but the first day I met him, he was adamant about, hey, do you want to let's talk this out? Give me a call anytime. Call me at midnight. I'll come out to the pool courtyard that we're staying in, this little hotel, in a small town outside of Sacramento. And he's telling me, at midnight I'll come out with a jacket on and we can like, sit outside and talk about the script. And uh, the bar scene in the film, I think after Nick loses his first fight,
Mm.
um, Barry and I actually went to that bar like a week before we had filmed that scene, just to sit down, just to kind of take in the atmosphere, just to have drinks and go back and forth with some banter, like we've done this before, like it's a spot that we've both frequently visited.
Yeah.
So just that extra level of being involved, Barry was awesome. He's a pro. And as far as Cameron goes, Cameron, a young talent from I think Northern California, this is one of his first like projects, but he fit right in. He was actually, I think, plays a huge part in the film because he's
Mm.
the pivotal catalyst that kind of sets Nick on the second part of the journey, for what he's
Yeah.
trying to achieve. And the relationship with him, super easy. Chemistry was there right away. I remember the first day I met Cameron, uh, the friendship aspect was so important to me
Mm.
that I almost immediately, like the second he got into the hotel, I was just like, "Hi, I'm Cody. Nice to meet you. Do you want to talk about this script?" And fortunately, he was super down. There was like a grocery store across the way. We like went over there, got like a 6 pack of beer, sat down, and read through the entire script in one sitting, and they started like talking about it, and daydreaming around and making choices. But everybody, I think that's what makes me the most proud about this film. It was a smaller film. We didn't have an insane budget. The crew was very tight knit. The cast was emotionally involved, passionate about the story that we were telling, and I think you can see it. I think it
Yeah.
reflects into the film.
Yeah. So you must be so proud of all of it, but tell me about some key scenes or moments that you feel most proud of.
Um, yeah, I mean, all the fighting stuff for me was huge, just because it's not the world in which I live in. So
Right.
I was very concerned and very very focused on making everything as real as possible. In regards to the train, anything with fighting, because the world of mixed martial arts is a very, very large community, and it's deeply rooted in this level of respect. So for me, coming anything shy of what a real fighter is supposed to be, look like, feel like, was just disrespectful, and I didn't want to do that. So I worked with as many people as possible, and to be able to go in there and mentally handle it, physically handle it, make it all look good. That was the first like 2.5 weeks of filming, was everything fighting and physical. So it was very, very taxing. So I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of also like there's a few like very vulnerable emotional moments um, that initiate progress and change for the character, and being able to experience those and bring those scenes to life. There's one in particular, and maybe you
I
maybe you
think I
would.
know which one you mean.
Yeah,
I don't want to
right, like I
spoil
don't
it
want to
for
give too
people,
much
but
away,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, after the big change happens,
yeah.
and we find Nick training alone in the gym, that was a huge scene for me. And I really remember giving, and I told the director, I'm like, look, let's set it up the best we can. Let's be very methodical about how we want to shoot this, because I'm really going to give you everything that I possibly can. Like, I'm going to leave it all out there. So I don't know how many I can give you at that level. So let's just start there and see if we get it. I think we ended up doing the full thing like 2 times, and then like once
Wow.
like down in like the coverage aspect where the things on the ground.
Yeah.
um but yeah, that was a huge, that was a huge moment. And I think everybody that was in that little gym and a part of that performance, making it a thing and bringing it to screen, everyone kind of felt it. Everyone felt like, all right, there's this rawness and intensity that's being captured in this man's story and journey. And I think it reinvigorated and inspired a lot of people, especially me. After
Yeah.
that, I couldn't like lift up any of my arms because I was flailing
Yeah.
them around so hard. But it's a very powerful moment, and I think it's going to I think it's really going to register and affect the audience when they see it. When I see it, I kind
Yeah.
of get like goosebumps. So
Yeah, no, no, you feel it. Yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. So you seem very like a very giving scene partner. So who have you worked with in the past that you've enjoyed working with, and who has really changed you and molded you as an actor?
Um, I mean, everyone that I get to work with, it's an experience for sure. All American has been great for me, just to be able to work with all the different personalities that the show offers. Everyone
Yes.
on there is super talented. Everyone shows up, gives 100%. Teen Wolf was awesome. Tyler Posey, Dylan O'Brien, and these guys are like veterans in their own world. So to be able to share the screen with them, just everyone that I've worked with has challenged me and inspired me to step up my own game. Notorious Nick was great. Elizabeth Berry, Kevin, like these guys they've been around, and it forces you, requires you in a way to step up and bring that same level of passion, and match them. Um, I remember when I was younger, I did a movie called The Irishman, and it was
Yeah.
yeah, it had Ray Stevenson in it. It had Vinnie Jones, Christopher Walken, Vincent D'Onofrio, like all these people.
Yeah.
And I was playing the young version of the main guy, Ray Stevenson. I only had like a handful of scenes, and we were filming it in location in Detroit. And just being around these guys, because we all stayed in the same hotel, um,
Mm.
being around these like Hollywood veterans, soaking up like how they worked and how they operate. I got the best advice in my entire life from Christopher Walken. We were shooting on location in Detroit, and something had happened. We were delayed, I'd say 4 or 5 hours, like a huge delay. And you have all these like A-list dudes sitting at base camp, and a lot of them are upset, and there's a few that are walking around smoking. And Christopher Walken's just sitting on the steps of his trailer, and keep in mind, I'm like 11, 12 years old, maybe. And so I
Right.
just walked up to him and was super blunt about it. And I was like, hey, like, why is everybody pissed and you're not? And he told me that, he gets paid to wait, and he does the work for free. Uh, and that has always stuck with me, and always it's very rooted in like the passion that I have for acting, storytelling in general. I
Yeah.
love it, and I would do it for free. It's something that it's a process that I really can't explain, all the way from the prep to the execution to watching the finished product. And
Yeah.
something that I fell in love with and I want to do for the rest of my life. So hearing that at such a young age, they pay me to wait, they pay me for the time, but the act of doing it is something that I would do regardless. It kind of just changed my whole perspective on the industry, something I carry with
Mm.
me now. we have a 20-hour day on set, and I'm like, cool. Like I was compensated for the hours, but the heart and soul and the passion that I want to put in, like I'm doing that regardless. So he really changed, he changed and affected the way my mind works and my perception of the whole industry. It's really cool.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. That's a great outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what have you been watching or reading or listening to lately that really influenced you?
I've been trying to just this last Christmas, throughout the pandemic, right, and during COVID,
Yeah.
I got really inspired to just want to read like a huge selection of books about different things, um, just to be exposed to this information and this knowledge. So what I did is I went on and I got all these very influential people that I deem as very, very intelligent. I went and found their like recommended list of books. So I went through Bill Gates, I went through Obama, Elon Musk, like all these different people, Warren Buffett, and I was like, all right, what is their top 10 recommendations? So I went through and I just bought all these books about money and life and philosophy and the history of the world and the evolution of sapiens from all the way back like millions of years ago. And I just wanted to get like a plethora of books that covered immense amount of topics. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Is I've been going through the list and reading things from Dalai Lama about inner peace and joy and learning things about finances and investment options over the next 20, 30 years and self-help books, history of the world books. Like there's just everything. I have so many. So I've been very slowly kind of chipping away at those. Um, as far as films and TV, I've pretty much watched everything that there is. It's been a long year. Spent a lot of
Yeah.
time inside. I just
Yeah.
recently rewatched all the Marvel movies in order.
All of them?
Yeah, in order,
Wow.
like sequence from when it starts story wise all the way to like end game. And I did that because I wanted to watch the WandaVision and Loki Disney Plus series. Um,
Yeah.
so I was like, I need to get refreshed and reminded. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was really, really cool.
I love it. And there does seem to be an inner peace about you. What you were saying before about the books you've been reading. You can
Yeah,
feel it.
I've been
Yeah.
reading. I've been, one of the biggest things that I've learned in life, right, is always finding the peace within the resistance, right?
Mm.
The calm within the storm. That saying, like, it's so important. It's so important to just kind of be mentally balanced in life in general, but especially in this career. There's a lot of ups and downs. It's very, mentally, physically taxing.
Yeah.
So I just try to kind of stay zenned out.
Yeah, I can feel it. Well, thank you so much for the art that you bring into the world, Cody. I really appreciate it. Have
Thank
an
you.
amazing day. Thank you so much.
I thank you so much, and I look forward to
Thank
speaking
you.
with you again.